Okay, I've calmed down a little bit. Definitely not calm, but that's what I'm teaching people in this program that I'm building. Calmness, self-generated. People are always like, you're so peaceful. And in my head, I'm just like, yeah, and I made this up because that is not how I wound up being in life. I generated that. Not because of the things I went through. It was just a choice. If that makes sense. I'm launching a pilot for the program that I proposed while I was in school. It's called Conscious Executive Leadership. It's about leading from truth, devotion that has known fire and still chooses peace. Yeah, I'm not here to teach peace, like where you sit on a mountain and meditate, which you should be doing that, but it's not the only thing that you're doing. And it's a multi-dimensional concept. It's moving unilaterally. It's a way of life where peace is your baseline frequency and you're constantly in the ebbs and flows of life and choosing the equilibrium baseline of your reality to be rendered at peace. This program is for people who operate at the highest level of their field in terms of not just performance or metrics, but of heart and depth of excellence. They know that there are things about them that need to die, like limiting beliefs, outdated paradigms of leadership, power, control, authority. We're ready to move from drive to devotion. Self-mastery. I built this program for the old souls, the wandering warriors, the globally conscious leaders, really the cream of the crop in terms of humanity. I studied beside many experts, subject matter experts in spirituality, energy, psychology, peace, fulfillment, joy. I opened myself up to literally all of the people that showed up in my life, all of the experiences that I was led to by the divine, by something greater than me. And it was all because I went to Colombia and I was presented with profound evidence that spirituality from a psychological standpoint was a leading buffer in mental illness and suicidality, which is something I struggled with since I was a kid. I learned about death a long time ago. And I remember I was so traumatized that I found out that this life would end and like people wouldn't always be here forever. I wrote my first poem about one day my parents dying and how much I didn't want that to happen, and how much I realized how difficult it is to raise a child it's not easy, it's rewarding but not easy. And I was aware that I was difficult for my parents, and one day I would lose them. And I just was so grateful that I had parents. Yeah, I had good ones, that I grew up with a good example of a parent's love. I feel like I was so sensitive, and that was like a top critique that people would share about me. It's true, I'm very sensitive, and now I know what I need to protect my energy and where my gifts come from. People are drawn to me because I feel like my energy body is like a chameleon. It's just, I've always said that my whole life, when people are surprised by all the different personalities that show up depending on who's around. So to show up with just me, to show people how I really am, what I really think, without any projections from them, because I'm a reflector, so I can't help but match the energy of the person in front of me somehow, or complement it. Sometimes I'm introverted, especially if there's a lot of extroverts, I become much more introverted. But if there's like a whole bunch of introverts, I become extroverted. I like to fill the room with what's missing. I think people just ask me to describe what my gifts are like, and they often say that I like either speak what they were feeling but didn't know how to say into words. Like I can put into words what people are going through, I guess. As a reflector, I try to like use words as a form of transferring what I see. But I also love to use things that go beyond words, like the quantum field. Well, I think I'm doing pretty good so far because I haven't shut off the camera, and I've looked at myself a few times to correct myself, but okay, I'm getting more comfortable talking in front of a camera. So I've been obsessed with painting bookmarks. I just started learning watercolor on YouTube from this girl named Allison Leone. She's really amazing. Anyways, she taught me how to make bookmarks, and I love them because I can give them away. They're like totally amateur. So I'll start with my journey. People really want to know my story. I have not been wanting to share it because I literally thought I was losing my mind. And I really thought I might end up in a psych ward. I think I have the propensity, so I have to be very I think that's the danger of a psychologist. Every medicine has a cost you have to pay, right? There's a cost of everything. And for someone, who is a soldier in a battlefield, the cost is like his life, potentially. That's the risk of being a soldier, like a military soldier. But then there's also helping soldiers God's soldiers or justice soldiers or Peace Corps. Like there's a lot of, what am I saying? I lost my train of thought. Oh, back to my story. Oh yeah, so people have been saying I should share my story. I've been really hesitant to be that vulnerable, but I think it's time. I feel like Spirit has been telling me it's time. And I do whatever Spirit tells me. I don't have the talent to draw people's faces, but following instructions I'm very good at. So if you're good at making instructions, I can follow. Am I really gonna post this content up? This is me, unfiltered. When I almost crossed over, that changed my whole life. So 8 years ago, I survived a terrorist attack. I want to move on from it, but people keep asking me to keep talking about it. And so sometimes it becomes all I can talk about. Feels like that's all I'm allowed to talk about. However, it sparked a calling in me. That I wasn't expecting. It changed my life. I really stopped giving two shits about half of the things I was freaking out about for the longest time. It's not ready to come out, so I'll talk about something else that I can talk about. My story is not ready to come out, so let's honor that. It's not ready. I'm not gonna push it. I'm not gonna push it out. It deserves the time that it wants to take. People ask me a lot of things about spirituality. People have totally different opinions. But I did study the best practices, and I have worked very closely with my professors to really absorb from them and learn from them what it takes to teach or talk about this stuff at an Ivy League. I stumbled into spirituality. I have this big mission, but the mission that I'm on is going to require very high level spiritually oriented people and people who know what they're talking about when it comes to spirituality and have chosen to take the slow approach through macro systems. The Ivy system still influences significantly the world stage. And for me, that was the only entry point for me to be able to make the kind of difference that I want to make. Because I don't have any other entry point. I don't have connections. I don't have connections into the rooms that I want to be in. But I'm working on it. I've been building up my reputation, my credibility, finding mentors who really see the vision and who are aware of its significance. That's like the kind of getting distracted again because I'm doing this. This is super interesting. I don't know what makes blue get attracted and then the pink ones start to like do something else on their own. I have no idea what's going on. As you can see, this is how long it takes for me to make one bookmark. So it's really not about producing. It's just really about taking the space to get out of my head. Okay, was there anything useful that I said today? I tried. Today was day one and I tried. Oh my God, you're seeing my erratic side. This side is the side I try to hide. Just like, who's gonna trust me when I'm so chaotic? But then people were like, actually that's why they are gonna trust you. Because you don't hide. Touche. So here's to me not hiding. What you see is what you get. That's just what it is. I'm not going to pretend to be perfect. Which, why was I doing in the first place? Trauma. Being neurodivergent and then relative to what's understood as neurotypical. Switching. Anyways, this is content. It can be used now or later, maybe later when I have a documentary or something. Which apparently people would want to watch because people have nothing else to do. Who can watch that much? People want me to make stuff that I won't even use. Like, I don't even watch documentaries. I don't have time for that. Anyways, here's my... Here is my moon. Yeah. People have been asking me for my autograph. I've just been giving these to people for free without my signature. And because it's the first ones and you can still see like that thingy, it's like very, very amateur. But it's not about the mastery of the painting itself. It's that it comes from me, blessed by me. Apparently, I've learned how to bless people's things. Blessing is actually just a lot more powerful than what people think. People who don't believe in blessing, it's really because they don't really believe that they have the power to author their reality. Okay, so that's what I do for one night. That's all you get from me. Good night.